Beth Mercer's shears bite through a yellow security seal with a crack that turns 3 heads on the packing floor. "I gave your week to Claire," she says. She's smiling when she says it, not broadly. Beth never wastes that much face on cruelty. Across the room, Claire has a carry-on open beside the break table. She is rolling a blue linen dress between her palms while 2 art handlers pretend to study a crate diagram. My brass luggage tag sits beside my keyboard, polished for the first time in years. "I booked my anniversary vacation 6 months early," I say. "You submitted a request. You approved it." "I don't remember doing that." The approval email had my name first. Nora Vale, October 7th through 11th, approved. Claire's request appeared beneath mine 11 weeks later, marked tentative. Beth drops the severed seal into my hand. Coverage needs changed. Claire presses the dress into her suitcase. The zipper teeth rattle as she pulls them closed. For a moment, the whole floor seems to wait for me to decide what kind of woman I am going to be while people are watching. I look down at the seal in my palm. WEX-1047, one of Wexler Museums, removed from a crate that should not have been opened until Marcus arrived with the condition packet. "Why did you cut this?" I ask. Beth's smile disappears. That is how my humiliation gets interrupted. Not by courage, exactly, but by a numbered piece of plastic that is in the wrong person's hand. "The hinge sounded loose," Beth says. "Who authorized an inspection?" "I did. You're not on the custody sheet. Nora." She lowers her voice as though I'm the one creating a scene. "We're discussing your leave." We were. Now I'm asking who witnessed the seal break. A packing bench separates us. On it, a small Dutch landscape lies under a sheet of clear film, its gilded frame held above the foam by 4 padded blocks. The painting is worth more than every house on my street put together, but at the moment I am worried about the $6 seal. Marcus Bell comes around the end of the bench, peeling off his nitrile gloves 1 finger at a time. He has the slow movements of a man who knows speed makes other people nervous around expensive objects. "I was walking over," he says. "I saw Beth cut it." "Thank you." I write the time on the yellow duplicate slip attached to my clipboard. 10:18 a.m. "Reason for opening?" Beth looks at me. "Possible loose hinge," I prompt. "Yes." "Observed by?" "Marcus, apparently." Marcus's mouth twitches. Beth catches it. Claire zips the second side of her suitcase. The sound is quieter this time. I record the broken seal and issue a new one, WEX-1052. I ask Marcus to read the number aloud, then I read it back to him. That little ritual has saved us from more trouble than any software Bellwether has ever purchased. Only after the crate is secured do I turn to Beth. My vacation was approved. Come into my office. Her office is 9 steps from the packing floor and constructed almost entirely of glass. Beth calls it transparency. Everyone else calls it the aquarium, though never where she can hear. She walks ahead of me. I put the severed seal into the evidence pouch, place the duplicate slip in my project binder, and take my brass luggage tag from beside the keyboard. Claire watches me slide it into my pocket. Her face has changed. The pleasure is gone, replaced by something cautious. Claire Daly is not stupid. That has always been part of the problem. Inside the aquarium, Beth closes the door but leaves the blinds open. "Sit." I'm fine standing. I'm trying to handle this professionally. "You announced it beside Claire's suitcase. She shouldn't have been packing at work. She wouldn't have been packing at work if you hadn't told her yesterday that the week was hers." Beth reaches for a ceramic mug that says, "Logistics is just panic with labels." I gave it to her 3 Christmases ago, back when I still mistook being useful to someone for being valued by them. She turns the mug so the words face away. "The Wexler transfer moved," she says. "You know that." I also know it moved after my leave was approved. We need our strongest registrar on that project. You scheduled the strongest registrar to be out. I scheduled around dates that were never finalized. They were finalized in writing. Then send me the approval. The request is so calm it almost works. For half a second, I wonder whether I invented the email. That is one of Beth's gifts. She can make a fact feel rude for continuing to exist after she has changed her mind. I will, I say. Good. And until then, the operational schedule stands. What does that mean? It means Claire is out October 7th through 11th. You're leading Wexler. And my reservations? I'm sorry. No, you're not. A muscle moves beside her mouth. You don't get to tell me what I feel. That's fair. You're sorry this is inconvenient. I'm trying to save our largest account. The sentence lands because there is truth inside it. Wexler represents nearly a third of Bellwether's museum work. Its new annex had failed a roof inspection in August, forcing an accelerated transfer of 47 pieces into climate-controlled storage. Elena Ruiz, Wexler's chief registrar, had rejected 2 proposed carriers before approving Bellwether. Beth had spent 5 weeks finding trucks with the correct air ride suspension, coordinating police access for 1 oversized sculpture, and persuading our insurer that a temporary loading enclosure was not, in fact, a tent. Beth is good at her job. If she were merely vicious, I would have left years ago. You told Elena I was available, I say. I told her Bellwether would provide senior custody oversight. You used my name in the draft staffing plan because I expected you to be flexible. There it is, not available, flexible. For 12 years at Bellwether, flexible has meant answering messages from restaurants, airports, dentist chairs, and once from the tiled floor of my own bathroom while I had a fever and one side of my face pressed against the cabinet. Flexible people do not have plans. They have obstacles other people expect them to remove. Jonah closed his shop for that week, I say. Beth's eyes soften, which is somehow worse. Can he reopen? He has contracts he moved into November. We bought train tickets. We paid the inn. Maybe Claire can trade. You already gave it to her. I made a coverage decision. You gave her a vacation I had already been approved to take. Beth leans back in her chair. I'm going to say something you won't like. You've had a productive morning. Her laugh escapes before she can stop it. A short, unwilling sound. For one strange second, we are ourselves again. 2 women who have eaten vending machine crackers together at midnight while waiting for a delayed customs release. Then she folds her hands. You've built your identity around being the person who knows where everything is, she says. That doesn't make every schedule yours to control. Heat crawls up my throat. I'm asking you to honor your approval. You're treating an operational necessity like a personal attack. You handed my week to your friend in front of my crew. Claire reports to me, just as you do. Claire has dinner at your house. What employees do outside this building is not relevant. Then her request should have been considered in the order it was received. Beth looks toward the glass. Claire is carrying her suitcase to the coat closet now, trying to make it less visible after the fact. Send me the email, Beth says again. I leave before I say something that could be quoted without the 10 minutes before it. At my desk, the brass tag feels heavy in my pocket. Jonah found it in a drawer when we started planning the trip. The engraving is worn thin. Nora, Jonah, October 9th. He had rubbed it with lemon and salt at the kitchen sink until our names showed again. You'll lose it if you carry it around, he told me. That's a strong argument against traveling. It survived our honeymoon. Barely. Someone shipped it to Pittsburgh. An educational week for the luggage. The memory hurts in an ordinary place right behind my breastbone. I open my email archive and type Beth's name, the dates, and the word approved. Nothing. I try vacation. Leave. October. Anniversary. The first result is my original request, sent April 3rd at 7:42 a.m. Beth replied 11 minutes later. Looks fine. Put it on the calendar. I stare at the 2 words. Looks fine. Not approved. My mouth goes dry. I remember a second email because Claire asked for the same week in June. Beth had sent a list of 4th quarter absences after a planning call with Wexler. Mine was first. I can see the message in my head. Nora, October 7th through October 11th approved. Marcus, October 24th and October 25th, approved. Claire, October 7th through October 11th, tentative pending coverage. I search the exact phrase pending coverage. No results. That is possible if the email is older than the local archive window, but I never rely on local storage. Bellwether's mail system retains 7 years. I check the web portal. The folder loads. The message does not appear. Behind me, Marcus sets a fresh roll of yellow seals on the edge of my desk. "You look like the database insulted your mother," he says. "I can't find an email." Computers can smell fear. I'm serious. So am I. That's why I print anything involving payroll or time off. I turn. "You print your emails?" My divorce taught me that people become poets when asked what they previously said. Despite myself, I smile. Marcus glances toward Beth's office. "You okay?" "No." "Good. What?" "If you'd said yes, I would have had to pretend to believe you." He picks up the severed seal pouch and examines my writing. "You want me to add a witness statement?" "For the crate, yes. For the rest?" "There is no rest on a custody report." Shame. I'd enjoy describing the suitcase. I lower my voice. "Did you get Beth's quarterly leave email?" "Probably." "Do you still have it?" "Probably not. I clean my inbox like a decent person." "You print emails. Only the ones that can hurt me. Vacation cannot hurt you. I go fishing with 2 shirts and a sandwich. You people who make reservations are the ones living dangerously." He walks away with the seal pouch, but the joke leaves something behind. Marcus has worked at Bellwether longer than Beth. He notices systems because systems have tried to blame him before. At lunch, I take my phone outside and call Jonah. He answers over the whine of a sander. "Tell me we need a second suitcase." "We may not need the first one." The sander stops. I stand beside the loading dock while October sunlight catches dust above the parked trucks. One of the drivers has left half a pair on the concrete barrier. Wasps move over it with drunken purpose. "What happened?" Jonah asks. I tell him. I leave out Claire's dress at first, then put it back in because the suitcase matters. So does Beth's smile. So does the fact that 3 people looked away. Jonah listens without interrupting. When I finish, he says, "Do you have the approval?" I have the first reply. She said it looked fine and told me to put it on the calendar. That sounds approved to me. There was another email, a list. I can't find it. "Can Beth delete your email?" "Not from my mailbox. IT could, with a retention request, but there'd be a log. Can you get the log?" I'm not supposed to need a forensic investigation to take a vacation. That wasn't my question. I close my eyes. Jonah knows me well enough to recognize the beginning of a project in my silence. He also knows that projects are where I hide from decisions. "Nora," he says, "are you calling because you want me to tell you the trip doesn't matter?" "No." "Good, because I moved a walnut dining set, 2 restoration consults, and a week of work I cannot magically stuff back into October. I know. I can reopen. I'll lose some money, but I can reopen." The offer cuts deeper than anger would have. "I don't want you to." "Then what do you want?" A truck reverses toward the dock. Its warning alarm repeats the same note until it stops sounding urgent. I want Beth to admit she approved it. And if she does? I look through the open bay door. Claire is at my workstation holding the Wexler movement binder against her chest. Beth stands beside her, pointing at my color-coded route sheet. "If she does," I say, "I want her to understand that approval meant something." Jonah is quiet. Then he says, "That's closer." "Closer to what?" The real answer. Before I go back inside, he asks whether the brass tag is still on my desk. It's in my pocket. "Keep it there." Beth has called a project huddle by the time I return. She stands in front of the whiteboard with Claire, Marcus, 2 handlers, and Theo from transportation. My name has been erased from the vacation column. The pale smear remains visible under the fresh writing. Under Wexler transfer lead, Beth has written Nora in blue marker. Claire is now listed as backup registrar, unavailable October 7th through 11th. Beth hands me a revised staffing plan. Since you're leading, I need the preliminary custody packet by Friday. The footer says Revision 2. Where is Revision 1? I ask, superseded. Who received it? It was a working document. Wexler received a staffing draft last month. This replaces it. I scan the page. The yellow seal sequence assigned to the transfer begins at WEX-1100, leaving a gap after the crate we opened this morning. That is sloppy for Beth, or deliberate. Beside me, Marcus rubs one thumb across the edge of his clipboard. Beth uncaps her marker. Any operational questions? Yes, I say. When was this revision created? Her eyes meet mine. Today. Then why does the footer say September 23rd? Claire looks down at her copy. The room changes by half a degree. Beth takes the page from my hand, checks the date, and gives a small, irritated sigh. Template error. From which template? We can correct it. I look at the ghost of my name in the vacation column, then at the new date printed beneath a schedule that did not exist yesterday. Make sure you do, I say. Beth writes October 4th beside the footer and circles it hard enough to squeak against the board. When the huddle ends, Marcus waits until everyone else has moved away. Then he opens the photo gallery on his phone. I take a picture of the seal board every Friday, he says. Helps me order the right quantity. He swipes back 3 weeks. In the photograph, the seal inventory fills the left side of the frame. Behind it, slightly out of focus but readable, is the original staffing board. My name is under vacation. Claire's is under Wexler backup. At the bottom, Beth's handwriting says, approved, September 19th. Marcus looks toward the aquarium. You're going to want me to send this to you. Yes. He studies my face. And then I touch the brass tag through my pocket. Then I find the email. Not yet, I said. Marcus's thumb hovered over the share icon. He frowned. You just said yes. I want you to keep the original. Send me a copy after you back it up somewhere Beth can't reach. You think she's going to crawl into my phone at night? I think she's going to ask whether the picture was taken on company time, whether Wexler material appears in it, and whether you violated the photography policy. He looked at the screen again. The corner of a framed sketch was visible beyond the whiteboard, wrapped in translucent plastic. Damn it. Exactly. Marcus slid his phone into his pocket. You're unpleasant when you're right. I've been told it's my defining quality. I'll crop the art out, email the original to myself, and print the metadata. Print 2 copies. Now you sound divorced. Beth called my name from the aquarium. Marcus sighed. And she sounds hungry. I went in alone. Claire was leaving through the other door with the revised Wexler plan tucked under her arm. She gave me a tight smile that asked me to pretend we had not just watched Beth backdate a staffing document. Beth waited until Claire crossed the packing floor. You embarrassed me in front of the team. The date was wrong. You knew it was a template error. I knew you said it was. She sat down and motioned toward the chair across from her. This time I sat. Standing had started to feel theatrical, and Beth was better at theater than I was. I need you focused, she said. Elena has already raised concerns about continuity. What concerns? She wants assurance that the same senior registrar will oversee prep, movement, and intake. That's reasonable. It's also why I need you here. You sent her a staffing draft showing I was here before you took my vacation away. Beth folded her hands over a legal pad. She had written my name at the top and underlined it twice. I don't like that phrase. Which part? Took away. What phrase would you prefer? Adjusted. My train tickets will be touched by the distinction. I can authorize reimbursement for non-refundable expenses. And Jonah's closed week? We don't reimburse spouses. Husband, fine, husband. She picked up her pen, then set it down. Nora, you are in line for Director of Registrarial Services when we finish restructuring. There had been talk about that job for almost a year. No posting, no salary range, just periodic hints, usually when Beth needed a Sunday solved. I didn't know there was a line. Don't do that. Do what? Make me spell out every opportunity as though you haven't benefited from my support. The unfair thing was that I had benefited. Beth hired me when Bellwether still kept condition photographs on compact discs. She sent me to courier training in London. She backed me after a collector accused me of scratching a frame that his own photographs showed had been damaged for years. She had also learned exactly how much gratitude could be converted into unpaid compliance. "What are you offering?" I asked. Her shoulders loosened. She thought we had reached the useful part. "Lead Wexler. Take 2 floating days in November. I'll recommend you for the director role when it opens." "In writing?" Her shoulders tightened again. "Recommendations depend on performance. So does trust. You want me to put a promotion guarantee in an email because a vacation date changed? I want you to honor the guarantee you already put in an email." Beth pushed the legal pad aside. "Find it." I left with her voice following me through the glass. At my workstation, I opened the Wexler project directory. The folder for annual planning had disappeared from my shortcuts. The main client folder still opened, but several subfolders now carried a lock icon. I clicked Staffing. Access denied. I clicked Annual Calendar. Access denied. The custody folders remained available because taking those away would have stopped me from doing the work Beth insisted only I could do. I sent IT a bland message asking whether my permissions had changed. Then I opened the leave portal. My October absence was gone, not marked denied, not canceled, gone. The portal showed Claire's vacation as approved on September 21st. Her approval history contained one tidy entry. Mine showed no request at all. I took screenshots with the system clock visible and printed them to the registrar room, where the old laser printer groaned like it resented evidence. Dana Shaw from HR answered my call on the 3rd ring. "If this is about health insurance," she said, "I'm hiding under my desk. It's about leave history. That is only slightly better." I explained that an approved absence had disappeared from my record. I kept Beth's name out of it until Dana asked who managed the calendar. There was a pause filled by keyboard taps. "I see Claire's entry," Dana said. "Do you see mine?" "I see your current balance." That wasn't my question. No, it wasn't. More typing. "I'll need to request an audit." "How long?" "Usually 3 business days. The vacation starts in 8. "I understand. If someone deleted the entry, the audit will show that. It should show changes, timestamps, and the account used. Can I have a copy? I can provide a summary of findings relevant to your record." "Not the log?" "It may include other employees' information. There was always another person's privacy available when you needed to hide what happened to yours." "Dana, I'm being required to work a week I booked 6 months ago, and the record proving I booked it has vanished." Her voice changed, losing its practiced brightness. "Forward me anything you have. Don't alter your leave balance. Don't submit a replacement request yet." "Why?" "Because it would create a new entry, and I want the existing history clean." That was the first thing anyone had said all day that made me feel less crazy. I sent her the April exchange and the screenshot of the empty portal. I did not send Marcus's photograph. It was his evidence, and Beth had already demonstrated what she did with other people's names. By 4, the Wexler project had developed 3 additional problems. A bronze sculpture exceeded the weight on the original access survey. The temporary loading enclosure needed another inspection. 2 crates listed on the master inventory had seal numbers that belonged to a different exhibition. Problems were soothing when they did not have opinions. I called Wexler's collections manager, corrected the inventory, and rearranged the truckloads so the heavy bronze would travel alone. Elena joined for the final 10 minutes. Her voice came through the speaker, clipped and low. "I appreciate the cleanup, Nora. This is why I asked for continuity." Beth, seated across from me, gave a small nod, as if Elena had endorsed her decision. "We'll make sure custody is consistent," Beth said. "Good," Elena replied. "The annex schedule has already become expensive." After the call, Beth gathered her papers. "You see the position I'm in. I see the position you put me in. Her chair rolled backward, half an inch. You are very close to becoming insubordinate. I corrected a manifest, revised a load plan, and reassured the client. Your work product is not the only measure of performance. No, apparently my travel plans are part of it too. Beth left without answering. When I got home, Jonah had spread train schedules across the kitchen table. He wore his work apron over a clean shirt, and a curl of walnut shaving clung to his shoulder. I found a later departure on Wednesday, he said. If you can get 3 days instead of 5. I set my keys down. He looked at my face. No? I don't want to bargain myself down before anyone answers me. I'm trying to save the part we can save. I know. Do you? The question was quiet enough that I could have pretended not to hear it. On the counter sat a shallow wooden tray he had made for the inn's owners, a gift for our anniversary visit. The grain curved around a dark knot like water around a stone. He had sanded the edges until they looked soft. You started that months ago, I said. February. I thought it was for a client. It is, technically. I reached for it, then stopped before touching the surface with my work-dirty hands. Jonah untied his apron. I can reopen the shop Thursday and Friday. Marta can take the consult Monday. I said I don't want you to reopen. And I don't want to spend a week sitting at home in principled solidarity with a woman who's at work. That's not fair. No, it's practical. You like practical. He lifted the shaving from his shoulder and dropped it into the trash. I wanted to tell him about the erased leave entry, the locked folders, the old schedule in Marcus's phone. Instead, I heard how it would sound. More pieces, more things to investigate, more reasons I could not yet make a decision. I asked HR for an audit, I said. He nodded once. When will you know? 3 business days. And if they say, Beth deleted it? Then she has to restore the leave. Does she? I looked at him. Jonah pulled out a chair and sat. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm asking whether you're waiting for proof because proof will change her, or because it means you won't have to choose what happens if it doesn't. The refrigerator clicked off. The house went very still. I don't know, I said. That answer seemed to cost him something, but he nodded. Okay. He gathered the train schedules into a stack. He did not throw them away. He placed them under the brass paperweight we used for unpaid bills. I carried the wooden tray into the other room so neither of us would set a coffee mug on it by accident. The next morning, my name was missing from the Wexler planning meeting. I discovered this when Claire came out of the aquarium carrying a folder labeled Custody Prep and nearly walked into me. Oh, she said. I thought you were downstairs. Doing what? Seal inventory. Marcus does seal inventory. Beth said you were helping him. Beth appeared behind her. Do you need something, Nora? The meeting invitation. It was a preliminary review. For the transfer I'm leading. We covered scheduling. You've made your feelings about scheduling clear. Claire shifted the folder against her chest. I held out my hand. Let me see the packet. Beth answered before Claire could. It isn't ready. That's why we review drafts. I'll send it when it's ready. Claire's thumb was pressed over the signature block at the bottom of the top page. I could see the first 2 letters beside it. NV. Move your hand, I said. Her eyes widened. Nora, Beth warned. Claire, move your hand. Claire did. The initials were mine, written in block capitals beside 3 preliminary crate inspections I had not performed. For a second, none of us spoke. Then Claire said, Beth told me that was the project registrar field. It says, Inspector Initials. I thought, you know what initials are? Color rose into her face. You don't have to talk to me like I'm an idiot. I'm talking to you like you signed my name. I didn't sign your name. I entered the lead registrar with my initials because you are the lead. Beth stepped between us. This is an internal draft, a false internal draft. That's enough. I took out my phone and photographed the page. Beth slapped the folder closed. The sound carried across the packing floor. "You are not authorized to photograph draft client materials," she said. "I'm authorized to document records bearing my initials." I said it was a misunderstanding. "You said it wasn't ready." Her eyes hardened. "My office, now." Inside the aquarium, she closed the blinds for the first time. The white slats dropped one by one, cutting the packing floor into narrow pieces before shutting it out completely. Beth placed a document on her desk. The heading read, "Performance Expectations Notice." She had already filled in the date. "Sign to acknowledge receipt," she said. I read the first paragraph. Disruptive conduct, resistance to operational assignments, unauthorized photography, undermining confidence in management decisions. At the bottom, beneath the signature lines, someone had added failure to support a critical client account in blue ink. "You prepared this before the meeting," I said. "I prepared it after yesterday." Before Claire used my initials. It was an input error. "Then write that down. This meeting is about your behavior." "No. This meeting is about making my behavior the problem before anyone examines yours." Beth's face went pale, then settled into something colder. "You think keeping copies of everything makes you untouchable." "No. I think it makes the touching visible." For once, she had no quick answer. I wrote received, not agreed beneath my signature, and added the exact time. When I opened the blinds, Claire was still standing where we had left her. The folder hung at her side. She did not look at Beth. She looked at me. Claire's face asked for something I did not have enough generosity to give her. I walked past. At my desk, I scanned the performance notice and emailed a copy to my personal account with the subject line, "Received 10:06 a.m." Beth could call that dramatic if she wanted. She had dated it before the conduct it described. Marcus appeared with a coil of padded strapping over one shoulder. "You get fired?" "Not today." "Congratulations. You get the photograph backed up?" "3 places and a print in the glove box of my truck." "That may be excessive." "You told me to print 2 copies." I was upset. "And now you've created a monster." He saw the notice on my screen. His expression tightened as he read the heading. "What did she write you up for?" "Having visible reactions." "I've been doing that wrong for years." Beth stepped onto the floor and called him into her office. He gave me a small salute with 2 fingers. "If I'm not back in 10 minutes, delete my browser history. You use the warehouse computer, then burn the building." He was in the aquarium for 23 minutes. When he came out, he carried a performance notice of his own. "Communication issues," he said. "For witnessing the seal break?" "For failing to support a unified account of the seal break." "What account was that?" "That I was present and approved the opening. You weren't. Thus the unity problem." He folded the notice into quarters and tucked it into his shirt pocket. The humor stayed in his voice, but his eyes had gone flat. "I'm sorry," I said. He shook his head. "Don't take credit for her work." That afternoon, Dana called from HR. "I have a preliminary audit result," she said. "Are you somewhere private?" I looked at the glass walls around Beth's office, the security cameras above the bay doors, and Claire pretending to sort labels 3 stations away. "No. Can you step outside?" I went to the loading dock. The half-pair was gone, leaving a dark sticky mark on the concrete. Dana waited until the door shut behind me. "Your leave request was entered April 3rd and approved the same day." For several seconds, I listened to a truck idle in the next lot. "Approved by whom?" "Beth Mercer." "When was it removed?" "Yesterday at 6:14 in the morning." "By whom?" "I can tell you the action was performed under a manager account." "Whose manager account?" "Nora. Dana. I'm not authorized to disclose another employee's authentication details until the review is complete." "Was it Beth's?" "I can provide a written summary stating your leave was approved and subsequently removed without a cancellation request from you. Can you restore it?" "The portal record, yes. The vacation. That is a management decision. The distinction was so absurd, I laughed. It came out sharp enough that Dana went quiet. Sorry, I said. So the company can confirm I have approved leave, confirm I never canceled it, and still require me to work it. I'm not saying that. What are you saying? That I'm escalating the scheduling dispute to Rowan. Rowan Pike owned Bellwether in the least glamorous sense of ownership possible. He spent most days arguing with insurers, lenders, and the landlord about humidity. He trusted Beth because she kept operational problems away from him. I had spoken to him twice that year, both times about damaged caster wheels. When? I asked. He's at a carrier conference until Monday. My train leaves Wednesday. I know. No, Dana, you know the date. Her breath touched the microphone. That's fair, she said. I asked her to send the written summary before we hung up. It arrived 9 minutes later. The language was cautious, but the facts survived it. Request entered, April 3rd. Request approved, April 3rd. Employee cancellation, none. Manager removal, October 2nd. I printed 3 copies. Beth was waiting beside the printer when I arrived. I thought HR might call you, she said. The machine pushed out the first page between us. You deleted it yesterday morning. I removed an absence that conflicted with the operating schedule. After telling me it was never approved, I told you I didn't remember approving it. You told me the dates were never finalized. At the time of our conversation, they were not on the calendar because you had deleted them 4 hours earlier. 2 handlers entered carrying rolls of polyethylene foam. They saw us and immediately became fascinated by the supply cabinet. Beth took the page from the tray. That contains internal audit information. It concerns my record. You need to stop turning every administrative decision into evidence. Then stop making decisions you don't want documented. One of the foam rolls slid sideways and knocked a plastic bin onto the floor. Neither handler bent to pick it up. Beth lowered her voice. My office? No. The word surprised both of us. This conversation is inappropriate for the floor, she said. Then we can continue it with HR. Her fingers tightened around the audit summary. She had taken my copy without asking. I pulled the second copy from the printer and walked away. At 5:30, when most of the floor crew had left, Beth came to my desk and placed the first copy beside my keyboard. She had smoothed the bent corner. I could have handled this better, she said. It was close enough to an apology that my body leaned toward it before my mind caught up. Yes, I said. She glanced at the packing floor. Marcus was securing the last empty crate. Claire stood at the supply shelves with her back to us. I'm under pressure, Beth said. Wexler's renewal is worth 9 jobs. Elena has already questioned our depth. If I tell her our lead registrar is unavailable during the transfer, she may reopen the carrier decision. Then you shouldn't have promised her I was available. The transfer date moved after your request. And you approved Claire's vacation after it moved. Beth rubbed the bridge of her nose. For the first time all week, she looked tired instead of controlled. Claire has had a difficult year. So have the rest of us. She came here because I asked her to. She gave up seniority at Armitage. You offered her this job. I told her Bellwether would be different. It is. Her tentative vacation becomes approved, and my approved vacation disappears. That's reductive. It's accurate. Beth pulled the spare chair closer and sat beside me instead of across from me. The choice was calculated, but there was history in it too. This was how we used to work through late manifests, shoulder to shoulder in the blue light. Take November 14th and 15th, she said, plus the Monday. 3 days, no deduction from your balance. I'll cover the hotel change fee and I'll make the director recommendation formal. Formal how? I'll send Rowan a memo. Will I see it? Yes. Will it say you removed approved leave to give the same dates to Claire? Her jaw shifted. That has nothing to do with your qualifications. It has everything to do with the job you're offering. You want a director who accepts records being changed when they become inconvenient. I want a director who understands that leadership requires sacrifice. Whose? Beth stood. You're making a serious mistake. That's possible. I hope proving a point keeps you warm at that inn. She walked away before I could tell her the inn had fireplaces. I stayed late to rebuild the custody packet Claire had marked with my initials. The inspections themselves were usable, but each page needed the actual inspector, time, and witness. Without that, the seal sequence was decoration. At 6:20, Claire placed the original folder on my desk. She had removed the pages with my initials and clipped them together. Beth said to use your format, she said. That doesn't mean use my name. I know. Did you know this morning? She looked toward the dark aquarium. Beth had left 10 minutes earlier. I knew it felt wrong, Claire said. I thought if it mattered that much, she wouldn't have asked me. That is an expensive way to decide what matters. I'm not asking you to make me feel better. Good. She absorbed that without flinching. I did the visual checks, she said. Marcus witnessed 2, Theo witnessed the last one. Then put your initials where mine were. I'm not certified for independent condition review. You weren't reviewing condition. You were confirming exterior integrity before prep. Her eyebrows drew together. That counts? It counts as exactly what happened. I pulled a blank form from the drawer and showed her how to separate handling observations from conservation findings. Claire leaned over the desk, listening carefully. She asked good questions. That annoyed me more than incompetence would have. When we finished, she signed her own initials on all 3 pages. Why did Beth want yours? She asked. Because Elena recognizes them. That's what I thought. Then why are you asking? Claire capped the pen. Because I wanted to hear you say it. She left the corrected packet with me. Jonah was asleep on the couch when I got home, one sock on and the other on the floor. A cooking show murmured on television. Someone was explaining how to rescue a split sauce. I turned off the screen. Jonah opened one eye. Did you win capitalism? HR confirmed the leave was approved. He sat up. And? Beth removed it yesterday. And? The owner is away until Monday. He leaned back against the couch. I hated the disappointment on his face because none of it was aimed at me and all of it still landed there. She offered me different dates, I said, and 3 paid days. When? November. The inn closes for the season at the end of October. I know. He rubbed both hands over his face. What did you say? No. His hands lowered. I said no. I repeated. The smile that came was small and exhausted. Okay. She also offered to formalize the promotion recommendation. And you said no to that? I said no to the trade. That's not what I asked. I don't know if the promotion exists. Jonah looked at me for a long moment, then moved his feet so I could sit. Under the paperweight, the train schedules remained stacked in order. He had circled the cancellation deadline in pencil. Monday noon. He rested his hand over mine. There was fine sanding dust in the lines of his knuckles. I need you to choose us while it's still a choice, he said. I'm trying. I know. That's what scares me. On Friday morning, Wexler's temporary enclosure failed its inspection because the climate monitor had been mounted beside the heater. Beth redirected the blame to transportation. Theo redirected it to the vendor. The vendor sent a photograph of Beth approving the placement. By 10, nobody was speaking above a murmur. I was rebuilding the monitoring plan when IT replied to my permissions question. Access to the Wexler annual planning folder had been limited at management request. Claire now had the permissions I had lost. I read the message twice, then walked to her workstation. Open annual calendar, I said. Claire glanced toward Beth's office. Why? Because you can. What are you looking for? The quarterly leave email. Her expression changed so slightly I might have missed it 3 days earlier. You've seen it, I said. She turned to her monitor. The folder opened immediately. There were 42 messages. Claire searched October 7th and found one thread with the subject, Wexler Q4, Availability and Transfer Blackouts. She clicked. Beth's message sat halfway down the chain. Staff leave confirmed in order received. Nora Vale, October 7th, 11, approved. Marcus Bell, October 24th, 25E, approved. Claire Daly, October 7th, 11th. Tentative pending coverage. Below it, Beth had written directly to Elena. Nora's anniversary week is protected. We will schedule Wexler activity around her confirmed absence. Claire whispered, "Oh." Print the whole thread. The printer began warming behind us. Before it could produce the first page, an email notification appeared on my screen across the aisle. From Elena Ruiz. Beth tells me you voluntarily canceled your anniversary leave and are now uncertain about supporting the transfer. I need a direct answer from you. Can you guarantee custody continuity next week? Claire read it over my shoulder. What are you going to say? I looked at Beth's approval on her monitor, my name first in the order received. I'm going to answer her question. Claire hit print. I went back to my desk and opened Elena's message. My hands felt calm, which I did not trust. Anger usually made me precise right before it made me reckless. I typed, Elena, I can guarantee that every crate transferred by Bellwether will have an accurate witness chain of custody. I cannot guarantee my personal attendance October 7th, 11th because I did not voluntarily cancel my approved leave. For clarity, I am forwarding the original planning message. Nor I found Beth's email inside the thread, clicked forward, and entered Elena's address. One message. Beth's own words, with the dates, approvals, and Wexler planning history intact. Claire stood beside the printer holding the paper copy. Do you want me to tell you not to send it? She asked. Do you? No. Why not? Her mouth tightened. Because my name is second. Third, Marcus is second. You know what I mean. I did. Claire had spent 4 days accepting the story that her vacation had won some legitimate contest. Now the order sat in black and white. My name came first. Hers came last, tentative and dependent on coverage. I clicked send. The email left without ceremony. Beth emerged from the aquarium less than a minute later. Nora, did you just contact Elena directly? She contacted me. I asked if you responded. Yes. What did you say? The truth. Beth's gaze moved to Claire, then to the pages in her hand. What did you print? Claire did not answer quickly enough. Beth crossed the floor and took the top page. Her eyes found the highlighted dates. Claire had not highlighted them. The search function had. You accessed a restricted client folder for her? You gave me access, Claire said. I gave you access for project work. This is project work. Beth looked almost impressed. Then the feeling vanished. Both of you, my office. My computer chimed. Elena had replied to me and copied Beth. Thank you. Please do not alter the custody plan until we speak. A second message arrived before Beth finished reading the first. Meeting request, 11:30 a.m. Elena had included Beth, me, Claire, Dana from HR, and Rowan, who was still listed as attending his conference. Beth stared at the invitation. You had no authority to send internal leave correspondence to a client. It was already part of Wexler's planning thread. That doesn't give you license to use it in an employment dispute. You used Wexler to justify the dispute. I used client requirements to make a staffing decision. You told the client I canceled leave. You told me it had never been approved. Beth lowered her voice. Do you understand what you may have done to this account? Yes. No, you don't. Elena could pause the transfer. The annex is at environmental risk. We could be responsible for additional storage, enclosure rental, security, transportation. Then you should spend the next hour building a truthful staffing plan. Her face changed. I had seen Beth furious, frightened, and exhausted. This was the first time I saw her without a next move ready. At 11:28, we gathered in the conference room. Marcus waited outside until Elena's assistant added him to the invitation as the witness for the current seal sequence. Rowan joined by video from a hotel room. He wore a conference badge over a wrinkled shirt and kept muting himself to cough. Dana sat at the far end of our table with a notebook open and both hands folded on top of it. Elena appeared on the wall screen from Wexler's collections office. Shelves of gray archival boxes rose behind her. She skipped greetings. I need to know which staffing document reflects Bellwether's actual plan. Beth answered first. The October 4th revision is current. The document dated September 23rd, that footer was a template error, and the September 19th plan showing Nora on approved leave, superseded when transfer needs changed. Elena looked down at something on her desk. Beth, your email states Nora's anniversary week was protected and that Wexler activity would be scheduled around it. The annex failure changed the operational need. Yes, it changed our need. When did Nora agree to cancel her leave? Beth paused. She understood that senior oversight would be required. That is not what I asked. Nora has always demonstrated flexibility around critical moves. Elena looked directly into the camera. Nora, did you cancel the leave? No. Were you asked before Claire's leave was approved? No. Beth's chair creaked as she shifted. Claire's dates were approved after coverage was assessed. Elena lifted the printed thread. Her name came after Nora's. Your own message says tentative pending coverage. Nora's name came first, and it says approved. The words settled over the table, not because they were dramatic, because they were simple. Dana spoke without looking at Beth. The leave audit confirms Nora's entry was approved April 3rd and removed October 2nd under a manager account. There was no employee cancellation. Rowan unmuted. Beth, I removed it to correct the staffing calendar. After approving Claire? Yes, because Claire's travel was already booked. So was Nora's, Dana said. Beth looked at her. I was not aware of the financial details. You were aware it was her anniversary, Elena said. You wrote that too. Claire's hands were under the table. I could see one thumb rubbing the side of the other. Elena turned to the custody packet. There is a second issue. The draft packet sent yesterday contains Nora's initials on inspections she did not perform. It was corrected before final submission, Beth said. Because Nora found it, Claire said. Beth turned slowly. Claire swallowed. Beth told me to use Nora's format. I entered her initials. I should have refused, but I thought it was the project registrar field. Claire, Beth said, we discussed the input error. Yes, we did. And it has been corrected. Nora corrected it with me. Marcus slid a yellow duplicate slip across the table to Dana. I also need the opened crate recorded accurately, he said. Seal WEX-1047 was cut before I arrived. I witnessed the opening from across the floor. I did not authorize it. Beth closed her eyes for half a second. Elena read the duplicate slip. This is why Wexler requires named custody personnel, not because one person is irreplaceable, because substitutions and openings must be transparent. She looked back at Rowan. I will not accept a transfer plan built on coerced availability or borrowed initials. Under our agreement, Wexler must approve changes to key personnel and custody procedure. What do you need from us? Rowan asked. A corrected roster by 3. Marcus Bell as interim seal lead during Nora's approved absence. Claire may handle exterior prep under her own initials, with witnessed checks. The sculpture moves Monday as planned. The remaining transfer shifts 4 days. Beth sat forward. That adds an enclosure weekend and splits the truck sequence. I'm aware. The cost will be significant. So is reopening a carrier decision. I would prefer not to. Beth leaned back. Elena continued. Nora's leave remains exactly where it was when Wexler received the annual calendar, October 7th through 11th. If Bellwether cannot provide compliant coverage, tell me today. We can provide it, Rowan said. Beth looked at him on the screen. He did not look away. The meeting ended at 12:16. For a moment, we stayed in our seats, surrounded by empty coffee cups and copies of dates nobody could change anymore. Marcus picked up the yellow slip. I'll need 3 additional seal ranges if we're splitting the loads. Elena's correction had already become work. That was reassuring. Claire stood. I can rebuild the exterior check sheets. With your own initials, Marcus said. She gave him a tired look. I have learned what initials are. That's good. We usually cover letters during orientation. A laugh escaped Dana, then mine. Even Claire smiled. Beth did not. Rowan wants to speak with me, she said. Nora, remain available. I'm available until 5 today. Her eyes sharpened at the boundary. Fine. I spent the afternoon rebuilding the roster. Marcus chose Theo as his second witness. Claire caught 2 inventory discrepancies without being prompted and brought them to me instead of quietly correcting the database. I showed her how to preserve the original entry in the change history. At 4:40, Rowan called me into the conference room. He had found a quieter corner of the hotel lobby and removed his badge. Beth's been placed on administrative review, he said. I waited. She'll remain operations supervisor while we assess what happened. Effective immediately, leave approvals require HR confirmation. She no longer has sole control of Wexler staffing or custody records. What about Marcus's warning? Withdrawn. Mine? Also withdrawn. I want that in writing. His mouth pulled sideways. Beth says you ask for everything in writing. Beth says many useful things in writing. He almost smiled. The director role is on hold, he said. There was the price. For everyone? For the restructuring. I'm not promising that job to you. I didn't ask you to. No, according to Beth, that is part of the problem. I let the insult pass. It no longer felt attached to me. I want direct authority over custody documentation, I said. No one uses my initials. No client packet bears my name until I approve it. Changes to named personnel go to the client and the registrar together. Rowan picked up a pen. And approved leave cannot be removed by one manager. That will be the new policy. Not just mine. Not just yours. I also want a designated backup trained on every major account. Being the person who knows everything has become a scheduling strategy. He studied me. You're asking me to make you less essential. I'm asking you to make the work less fragile. He wrote that down. By 5, Dana sent formal confirmation that my vacation had been restored. Marcus received notice that his warning was removed from his file. Mine followed 6 minutes later. Beth came to my desk while I was shutting down. You got what you wanted, she said. The packing floor had emptied except for Claire, who was counting seals at the far bench. I got the week you approved. And I lost authority I spent years earning. You used it to protect the company, to protect a decision you couldn't defend honestly. She looked toward the sealed Wexler crates. You think Elena respects you now? I think she expects accurate records. She will replace you the moment you become inconvenient. Then the records will show when it happened. Beth's mouth tightened, but her eyes looked tired again. I did support you, she said. I know. You would not have this career without me. I know that too. The answers landed harder than denial. She waited for me to soften them. I did not. I'm not Claire's enemy, I said. I wasn't yours either. Beth glanced toward her friend. Claire kept counting without looking up. No, Beth said. You were just never as loyal as I thought. Loyalty that has to survive a lie is obedience. I regretted the neatness of the sentence as soon as I heard it. Life with Beth had never been neat. She had opened doors for me. She had also expected to own the hallway. Have a good anniversary, she said. It sounded painful. Thank you. At home, Jonah was in the kitchen with the train schedules spread around him. He had his laptop open to the cancellation page. You're 6 minutes from costing us 30%, he said without turning. Then don't cancel. His hands stopped over the keyboard. I placed the HR confirmation beside him. He read it once, then again. They restored it? Wexler shifted the transfer. Marcus is covering seals. Claire is covering exterior prep. I am leaving Wednesday. Jonah closed the laptop. You forwarded the email. One message. The one with your name first? The very one. He stood and pulled me against him. He smelled like walnut dust and the citrus soap from his shop. After a moment, he said into my hair, I was going to cancel at noon. I know. I gave you 4 extra hours. Reckless. I learned it from my wife. The following Tuesday, I handed Marcus 3 numbered seal packets and made him read the ranges back to me. Claire signed her revised check sheets with CD in careful block letters. Beth approved the staffing plan through Dana and copied every person named on it. At 5, I turned off my monitor. No one asked me to check one last thing. At the station the next morning, Jonah fastened my old brass tag to our suitcase. Beside it, the conductor looped a yellow railway tag through the handle and pulled it tight. A black serial number ran down its center. Jonah held the suitcase still while I looked at it. You going to photograph that? He asked. My hand had already moved toward my pocket. I let it fall. No, I said. The train doors opened. I took his hand and we left the tag to do its ordinary job.